Babe, go ahead and jump. Yeah, don't squeeze it.
No.
Wow, that's a big one. Are on her dress.
This one.
Good job. Hello. I've been meaning to make this video for a long time, and I know it's not for everyone. I know that a lot of you guys could care less about homeschool. I just want to start off by saying real quick here that this video is by no means meant to condemn or guilt people that do not homeschool, okay? I truly believe that homeschool is something that's not for everyone, and it's something that your family should think about and pray about, but this is what is working for us, and I just want to address some fears that I feel like a lot of mamas have when it comes to homeschooling. I am by no means an expert at homeschool. This is our third year homeschooling, so I do not claim to have all of the answers, but I do want this video to encourage you. I just want to share my experience with you because I believe that it could maybe help another mom out there. So a little bit of backstory before I begin. As soon as I became a mom, I wanted to homeschool. In fact, I remember wanting to homeschool as a young girl. Fast forward 5 years and Ethan is ready to begin school. And everyone in my life was asking me when he was going to start kindergarten. And I did not want to put him in kindergarten. I wasn't ready yet. But I live in a very small community, and the school is very much the heart of the community where I live, and it's a good school and there are good teachers there, and a lot of my family worked at this school, and so everyone just kind of assumed that I would send Ethan to school. So because I'm a people pleaser and I fear so much what people think, I kind of gave into the pressure and put him in school, and we did not have a bad experience. Our situation, I guess, had nothing to do with the teachers or the school. It was more so just the calling of just in my heart, the desire in my heart to want to educate our children at home. It was so strong, and really what was happening was just this rush in the morning to get Ethan out the door, his backpack, his lunch packed, all of his things, get him dressed, get him out. And then he would be gone all day long, come home at 3 o'clock, and there was this rush to get all of his homework done, all of his reading, and then I had to start cooking dinner and get that ready, and then all the after dinner cleanup, and then suddenly it's bedtime. And I just felt like I lost all of this time with my son, and just the lack of time that I had with him. I didn't like the feeling, but I just thought, well, this is life. This is what I have to do. I mean, everybody sends their kids to school. I kind of stuffed the feelings down and just thought, I just need to like handle it and get over it. And this is just what happens, you know? And I kind of just accepted it. Well, then 2020 happened, and everything that went along with that, there were shutdowns, and of course the schools closed down, and we were all together in our home. And so I really tried to continue teaching Ethan at home the best I could. I didn't want him to lose out on, half a year's worth of learning. And so of course I loved it. I just fell in love with it. Every day I tried to I purchased some materials for first grade, and I just tried to continue his education the best I knew how. I knew nothing about homeschool. Even though I was kind of fumbling through it, I just knew that I loved it. And more than anything, I knew that I just loved being with him again and cuddling up on the couch and reading books together. And that's kind of where that desire grew even stronger for me. So as his first grade year came to a close, my husband and I really prayed about it, and I just knew that now was my time. This was my time to try it. This was the year of all years that we could give it a try. And that's one thing that I want to encourage you. If you're a mama so nervous about trying homeschool, you can always try it. And if it doesn't work, you can always send them back to school. And for us, this was the perfect opportunity because things were still a little bit scary. In the world of public education, you know, the school was still, schools across the nation were shutting down still a lot when cases would climb. And so I thought, this is the year to try it. You know, let's do it this year. Let's see how we feel about it. And I just kind of dove into the world of homeschool and tried to learn as much as I could about it. A sweet woman by the name of Sally Clarkson has so many great homeschool materials. One book that I read first before any others was her book called Awaking Wonder, I believe it's called. I will link it in the description below. An excellent book. And that really just got me excited about the idea of homeschool. And so I want to just address, that's kind of my story. Here we are 3 years later. I love homeschool so much more now than I ever thought I could. I continue to love it more and more each year. It is something that I get emotional about because it truly is such a magical, beautiful experience that I'm so thankful for. And so I want to kind of address the 4 major fears that I had 3 or 4 years ago and maybe walk you through those in today's video. So the first fear is, of course, fearing what other people will think. Maybe it's that certain family member or even a parent or a sibling that's going to look down on you or judge you or make comments every time you get together with them about how you are failing your children because you are choosing to homeschool. Let me just say that I had some of that in my life. And as a people pleaser, that bothered me so much. But there's a book called When People Are Big and God is Small by Edward Welch. If you struggle with people pleasing, read that book. It is so good. And basically it just has to do with the fact that if God has called you to do something, you can't let the voices of people talk you out of that calling. Who are you following? And so that's just my encouragement to you, is not to allow people in your life to discourage you from doing something that you feel so called to do. It's going to take courage. It's going to take keeping your mouth shut when people make comments, just smiling and trying not to get into huge arguments at family get-togethers. But you know what's really sweet? One of my biggest critics was my sister, my older sister. She just could not believe that we were making this decision. And as she watched my husband and I that first year homeschool, and she would come over to my house and she would see what we were doing. And she, by the end of the year, she told me that she too wanted to explore homeschool. I never pressured her. I wasn't like telling her constantly she needed to do it. I never in any way made her feel guilty for not homeschooling. She just observed it, and she desired that for her family also. And today she homeschools her 2 girls. She tries to tell all of her friends how wonderful it is. And so that's encouraging to me. Just because someone is a critic at the beginning, if they truly watch the way you do it and they see your heart behind it, then who knows, maybe their heart will change too. And maybe it won't. Maybe you'll get that, you know, those comments from them for the rest of your life. But that was our experience. And I'm just so grateful that so many of my friends and family members that maybe were critical at the beginning have now come to see the beauty of homeschool. And so that's the number 1 fear that I wanted to address. The second fear that I think so many moms tell me when I tell them that I homeschool is that they are just afraid they're going to fail. The fear of failing. They feel like their kids won't listen to them. They feel like they won't be a good teacher. They feel like they don't know what they're doing. And let me just say, like, that's okay. It's okay. There are so many beautiful things about homeschool that this video could be like 3 hours long. So there are 2 things that I would like to recommend for this fear, which we all have when we start homeschool. we feel like we're gonna fail our children. First of all, read this book, Call of the Wild and Free by Ainsley Arment. She talks about all the different fears involved in homeschool, and she addresses every single one of them. All of the myths that kind of surround homeschool, she addresses in this book. It's excellent. I would also suggest that you start to study the teachings of Charlotte Mason. There are two really great books. One of them is called Charlotte Mason Companion, where Karen Andriola summarizes all of Charlotte Mason's teachings. And then also I'm reading her book called Mother Culture, where she also talks a lot about the teachings of Charlotte Mason. And basically, Charlotte Mason did a lot of research. She studied and watched the way that children learn in the 1800s in England. So much of what is like standardized for all children and fill in the blank and take the test, she was finding that kids hated to learn. They hated school. And so she did all of this work and all of these studies, and you can find them in her 6 volumes. Essentially, Charlotte Mason believed that children should be taught short lessons. She believed that children should be given so many living books, not textbooks, books that make learning exciting and that propel and encourage children to want to learn, to where knowledge is exciting for them. It's like this adventure. I want to encourage you also, and that as you teach your children, you are going to be learning with them. There is so much that I feel like I am learning with my kids, and I'm just in awe of so many of these awesome things that we've been studying, and having the chance to dive deeper into these different people that we're studying and learn more about them. Like I said, I could talk on and on about this. Charlotte Mason also emphasized the importance of observation, being out in nature. She emphasized the importance of art, studying artwork and music, and there's so much more to it, but that will really encourage you as a homeschool mom, because you don't need to be someone who has a teaching degree. You can just learn alongside your children, and it can be an adventure for both of you, and it can be wonderful. I would also like to point out the curriculum that we are using, and we aren't tied to it. It's not something that, I feel like I have to do, but I do feel like it really helps, and that's the Good and the Beautiful curriculum. We switched to it last year, and it incorporates a lot of Charlotte Mason's teachings. A lot of games are involved, handicrafts, the study of artwork. It's a beautiful curriculum, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. So I know I've been sharing shots here and there of the Good and the Beautiful curriculum, but I thought I would just take a moment to tell you a little bit more about it, show you some close-ups. This homeschool curriculum is not specific to any doctrine that we have noticed so far. Now, we've only been using it for 2 years, but I have spoken with other friends, and they have had the same experience. It does, however, share an appreciation for God, for family, for nature. It includes wholesome art and literature, and it is very strong academically, but it's very simple to teach, very short lessons. You can see how they have instructions for the parent, and that's what I really loved about this curriculum. A lot of homeschool curriculums have a teacher guide and a student book and an answer key and all these different materials, and it's too much to juggle. And with the Good and the Beautiful, we can just open it up. I can read to the child right on their lesson page. We can work through it together, and it's just been so much easier for our family. Again, what I love so much about this curriculum is that it's fun. There are a lot of crafts and games. They even have little apps that you can use for some extra learning. They also have beautiful literature that comes with their language arts curriculum. So we have really enjoyed going through that. And then just the artwork that they include throughout their curriculum is absolutely stunning. It is one of my favorite things. And rather than having to go collect all of this artwork on my own, the Good and the Beautiful does that for me. Geography is incorporated heavily throughout both the math and language arts curriculum. And I really love that, because they are just learning about all these different countries, all over the world while they do their math or while they do their language arts. The math curriculum is so much fun for my boys. They have a lot of fun things like cooking lessons. For one of Ethan's lessons last year, he had to bake muffins, and of course he was learning about fractions. So it's just so much fun for the kids. I have just been so impressed with this curriculum. It truly is good and beautiful. And anyways, I just wanted to share it with you. If you feel overwhelmed or nervous about starting homeschool, I cannot even imagine a better curriculum to start with, because it's just so simple and easy to use. Another fear that I feel like a lot of homeschool mamas have is that they will lose their freedom. They feel like, okay, well, I'm free from 8 to 3 every day, and I'm gonna lose all of that time, and I'm gonna have to be with my kids. And so I guess to that I would say, if you don't like your kids, you probably shouldn't homeschool. I truly enjoy being around my children. I want to be a strong influence in their life. And second of all, if anything, I feel like you gain so much freedom with homeschool, because learning is not something that should just be inside of this like 8 to 3 type thing. We are done with a lot of going through our curriculum. We're done with a lot of it by 11 o'clock. And then we have the freedom to explore different instruments. My kids are learning to play the piano. Gabe is trying to learn how to play the guitar. They have so much freedom to play and discover and adventure and find bugs and look up those bugs and figure out what those bugs do, what they're called, find different plants, study flowers, go on walks when the weather is beautiful in the springtime. And there are so many different ways to learn besides sitting at a desk in a classroom. Anyways, you can establish different times throughout the day. If you need breaks, I always establish a quiet time in the afternoons where all the kids have to find a cozy spot and read. I make myself a cup of tea and I read too. I want to lead by example, and we all read. And you can definitely do that in your day and set up these time blocks to where you can have some time. Kids need to be playing. They need time alone to play where mom isn't hovering over them. They need time to be bored and to figure out what to do with that boredom. And that's what creates children that have ingenuity and turn, a couple of sticks into a fun game to play, or build something with their own 2 hands. These are important skills that are being lost today. And oftentimes, if kids don't have a screen in front of them, they say they're bored. And so it's okay to send them outside. That's an important part of learning, and that will allow you to have some mama time if you need it during your day. So the last fear that I want to address here is this fear that people have that their kids will not be socialized, which makes me laugh because I used to have that fear as well. And honestly, you guys, there are so many opportunities for your kids to have interaction when you homeschool. Get involved in a local church so your kids are talking to many different people there. You can sign up for extracurriculars. We have our kids in a soccer program right now. And I just think it's a myth to say that all homeschool kids are weird, because I was a weird kid and I wasn't homeschooled. And I hate to even use the word weird. Different, let's just say, or kids that are maybe socially awkward, they don't look at you when you talk to them or whatever. You find children like that in every single situation, whether it's homeschool, Christian school, public school, it doesn't matter. You're gonna find kids that maybe are a little bit socially awkward. Maybe they're extremely shy. Maybe it'll take them a couple years to really gain the confidence they need when talking to people. But don't let that be the thing that stops you from homeschooling. If you and your spouse, or maybe you're just a single parent, if you can watch that behavior, and if, for example, when people in our church come up and compliment my boys, if they have like a piano special in church, I will tell my boys to say thank you, look them in the eye, and I will address that if they don't do those things. So we as parents need to watch for that behavior and just try to correct it when we can in love. As long as you're getting out of the house, getting them involved, talking to people on a daily basis, you're not hobbits, then they will be fine. And so I wanted to address that as well. So I hope this video was an encouragement to someone. If there are any fears that you guys still have, I think those are the 4 main ones that I had years ago when I was considering homeschool. I hope that you will let me know or send me an email, and I'd love to talk to you more about it. But hopefully this video was a help to someone. Hopefully it encourages another mama who might be nervous about the idea of homeschool. There are so many wonderful resources available. Like I said, this book is just, I highly recommend it if you are considering homeschool. Don't ignore that calling in your heart like I did. Listen to her podcast. She has a great podcast that would be a help to you. Sally Clarkson also has a great one, and you can search on her podcast for podcasts that are specific to homeschool. So anyways, I hope again that this encouraged someone out there. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, I am no expert. We're just doing the best that we can, and I could say a million more things, but I won't. Hopefully that just summarized it for you guys. Here are a few more books that might encourage you if you are considering homeschool. I will link them below in the description. And again, guys, I know this isn't for everyone. The purpose of this video wasn't to argue that homeschool is better or superior than traditional school. I simply just want to encourage the mama who feels called to do something that seems very scary. It does, it really does. And I just want you to keep praying about it, to research and to read and to talk to other homeschool families. And just remember, you won't fail your kids if you choose to educate them at home. Jane Austen, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Edison, Theodore Roosevelt, C.S. Lewis, Beatrix Potter, George Washington Carver, Helen Keller, and many, many more were all homeschooled, and they went on to do amazing things. There's so much beauty in it, and I just wanted to share my story with you, and I hope that it encourages someone out there, and if it does, would you let me know? That just means the world to me. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. Bye-bye.